morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of CREDE Play Offense. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend Paul, the CEO of StarPoint Properties. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Colby. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So it's always good to see you. You've been a good friend and client over the years, and just thought it'd be fun to share a little bit about your personal history and about StarPoint and kind of where we're going for the next few years. And it's a ever changing.
Sounds great.
Changing.
Lead the way.
All right. Well, if you would, just maybe share a little bit about how did you get into real estate, your personal history and journey to getting to being the CEO of StarPoint.
Oh, we have to go back a few years. So how I got into real estate was I needed a second job while I was in college to make ends meet. I was waiting tables at California Pizza Kitchen, and we had gotten into a little bit of a recession, or the economy slowed down, and so the restaurant slowed down. So I got a second job on the weekends with a company called Glen Fed Development, which is no longer around, but they were sort of a master developer and were building, large tract homes, mainly out in the San Fernando Valley, but also throughout Southern California. And I got a job with them as a gopher. So like a broker's assistant, really like getting coffee and making brochures and greeting people at the door and maybe taking them on a tour. I got promoted pretty quickly to a broker's assistant, then a junior broker, and then I went and worked as an assistant foreman for a little short period of time with them, moving dirt and learning the construction side of the business as well. And that was my introduction to real estate. And that's when I pivoted. I was planning on going to law school, but thanks to my experience with Glen Fed, that I got into real estate.
Got it. And where'd you go from Glen Fed to StarPoint? Was it just direct, or I'm always amazed of all of us that like, oh, we got into it because we either knew one person or we needed a side job or something happened, and so we got into construction or real estate, and then there was like one pivotal moment that seemed to springboard a lot of us that are in this business.
No, really, again, started it, but I bootstrapped it. I set up a funky office in my sister's garage and just started working. I mean, bought a condo, fixed it up, flipped it, bought some land, very cheap, sold it to a master developer who built, like 30 townhomes on it. And if there was a pivotal moment, as you mentioned, it was probably the very first large transaction that I purchased, which was 73 apartment units out in Northridge. I purchased it from Coast Federal Savings as an REO, and we bought it in December. Sorry?
Out of the RTC days?
Yeah, back in the old RTC days. We bought it in December, and then basically in January, the Northridge earthquake hit, and the building just got leveled. We went from like 98% occupancy down to like 10% occupancy. They came and yellow tagged the building, so we really had to vacate it. And at that moment, I thought life was over. This is it. I was already poor really at the time. Even to buy that building, I was borrowing on credit cards and from family and friends, and brought in investors who are also all family. And I thought it was over. But that was probably a pivotal time where I really learned the business. I really learned how to, heavy value add and seismic retrofitting. I learned a lot about construction. I also learned a lot about sort of disaster recovery. And so it turned out okay at the end, and was sort of, the inflection point for not only me learning the business, but, really becoming StarPoint ended up becoming our core competency ended up being multifamily value add, and that's what really sort of built the firm.
Got it. So yeah, maybe give a little background on what StarPoint is today, because I mean, I know you as a a multi-fund company that raises LPs and does a lot of direct investment on existing and ground up, but industrial multifamily. But maybe give a little background on where you are today.
Sure. Um, as billion plus in AUM, and pretty well diversified now. We've got a existing multifamily value add strategy. We do have a ground up development strategy, heavily focused on opportunity zones. Those are both in multifamily and industrial, and that's what we do a lot of work with you. And it's been great working with CREDE. You guys have been not only a great partner, but really sort of helped fill a void for us, which is, deep experience in construction management, which you guys have and we don't. So it's been a great partnership. So yeah, we do have about, 4 or 5 ground up developments right now. And then we got a joint venture on retail where we are also doing a little bit of ground up development there as well. So right now, our active strategies really are on the retail and multifamily or the apartment side.
And just for everyone listening, is that all GP, or do you typically, will you JV or be a, I know you don't typically LP, but will you come in and help, somebody that's a new, two brokers that have found some great deals, and you can kind of help prop them up, almost like an emerging manager program, or how are you looking to invest for 2025?
Yeah, we primarily act as a GP. Um, and most of our partnerships are single asset joint ventures, and so we do that with a high net worth following, but we also have a few institutional partners as well. Goldman Sachs is an example of one right now, but we've got historically worked with Mitsubishi, General Electric, Key Bank, so it's a mix of high net worth and institutional capital that funds most of our projects.
It's been interesting on our side. I mean, you look over the last 2 years. I mean, I'll get past COVID. But, you kind of COVID hit. We all thought, oh, we're going back into a GFC, or we think there'll be a ton of distress, which is kind of kicked the can down the road in many ways. And then you had interest rate hikes, and so again, we had a lot of us were trying to figure out what's going on with. Can we buy? We were buying stuff that was below replacement cost, so it didn't make as much sense to develop. Now we're starting to see interest rates coming in. We actually are starting to see some distress and some banks selling, foreclosing out and selling assets. But is there, and I know it's a little bit of a loaded kind of feeder question to you because you've been so opportunistic, but if you're looking at 2025, is there one opportunity that you see that kind of exceeds the other, or where are you having your team focus right now?
Yeah, we are an opportunistic firm, and so we'll come in and out of markets, or we'll come in and out of strategies very tactically, where we see the greatest opportunity or dislocations. So, as an example, we weren't buying multifamily for the last 6 or 7 years. We were actually selling our apartments because we saw the top coming, and the risk-adjusted returns just sort of made no sense as a buyer, but a lot of sense as a seller. So we were a net seller. But we're coming back into the marketplace today. We think multifamily is a good place to invest today. And so we have an active multifamily value add strategy for existing product in targeted or very strategic locations around the country. And so I think 2025 will be good for apartments. Um, with the election over and now Trump having won, I think the opportunity zone legislation is going to be extended, most likely. Hard to tell for sure right now, but at least that looks like the direction it's going. And so, if the opportunity zone legislation does get extended, I think apartment and industrial development will be a very good long-term strategy under that very tax-efficient legislation. So that's probably something we're going to look at for probably the latter part of 25, maybe 26. And we also like our retail strategy, which is what we call tenant-centric, but some retail development with the tenant and a lease in place. So we're hedging risk and can deliver asymmetrical returns. That's also something we like for 25 and 20.
And it's, I appreciate not just having you as a client, but having been able to invest with you. So, for anybody that's, Paul does have, the ability to take investments from time to time. So we've done very well with him over the years. So it's always good to see where you're going, because you're one of those folks that likes to find good niches, and really a lot of people use the term asymmetric returns, but I've been able to actually live them with you. So it's been fun. It's intriguing for me, is, part of this is like, where do we see not life going, but where it's coming from as well. And there's many of us that have come from different walks of life. You can be a broker, you can be an analyst, you can be a contractor, you can be an attorney. What are you looking for as you're hiring at StarPoint for, new hires or people as you look to outfit the bench moving forward? Any advice for folks to how to get into the business? Because again, you're a crossover between, there's very few people that are actually truly have the ability to be a fund manager and a direct investor or developer. Many people are one or the other. A lot of folks just raise money one-offs, or don't never get to the institutional level. So is there advice as people are getting into the business? Well, what, they'll learn one side or the other from your side?
Yeah. If someone was coming into the industry today, the advice I would give them would be, specialize first, learn one segment of the business really, really well, and become an expert. It's sort of that 10,000 hour rule. And so, I'd say if you want to get into construction or development side of the business, I'd spend 10,000 hours, becoming an expert in construction, um, before you did anything else. So my broad, my broad recommendation to anyone would be expertise first, before anything. If you wanted to get into the capital markets side of the business, same thing. I'd work for a really good capital markets firm, even if you had to start out as an intern. Those jobs are hard to land. And spend 10,000 hours learning that business before you did anything else. It's hard to be a generalist in this. It's hard to be a generalist in this business. Easy to make mistakes, easy to lose focus and not have a real expertise. And so, if you're going to be more of a generalist, which some firms are, you've really got to have expertise throughout the organization, and especially in all your departments, which we do. But it's hard to build up to that.
I agree. And the other thing I think it's hard in our business is everybody thinks everyone makes money in every role. And, and it's always intriguing when I talk to people coming in the business, they don't understand the risk. If you want to be in acquisitions if you're not a hunter killer, then you're not going to make it. If you have more of a farmer personality, you might be in asset management or property management, but you might not make the income that, somebody who's creating that upfront value is making. And I think I'd also say spend the 10,000 hours, but spend 10,000 hours also trying to truly get to know yourself. And it's amazing how many people don't do that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Identifying your own strengths and being self-aware enough to realize what you're good at and what you also enjoy, and finding that triangulation or alignment. Yeah, that's really important. I agree with you, Colby.
Yeah, it's
You I think you did that. I mean, I think you did that well. I mean, I think you built a great firm, but you enjoy what you do, and I think it aligns really well with sort of your strengths and skill set.
Well, thank you. And it's interesting for me. It was my ability. That really what caused me to get my part to become a partner with Thomas Ryder. I knew I was a much better operational boots, like truly nuts and bolts developer than I was an acquisitions person. And he's great on capital markets and acquisitions. And I didn't want to be a B player in both. And so that's what really caused our partnership to come together and for me to run the service business and him to do the other side. Because but it was not without me thinking I could do it and learning the hard way. So I try to tell people, don't, learn from our mistakes early, because you can't be everything to everyone.
Very true. Coming back to your earlier point, I've got a funny story. And you're right. Most people hear about real estate and like, oh my God, real estate. Everybody makes money in real estate. It's so easy. I was in an Uber the other day, and the Uber driver asked me what I did, and I gave him a general response of, I run my own business, and then he started digging in more, and eventually got to the point where I told him, yeah, I'm in real estate, and his immediate response was, oh, real estate's great. Everybody's rich in real estate. You'll only make money in real estate. It's so easy. Obviously, I didn't say anything, but I did want to give him like, what? Why don't you look up Tides Equity, or why don't you go back and you know, yeah, I was going to give him a dozen real estate firms who are really struggling and have realized real estate is not easy and it does need an expertise and not everybody makes money. So, but you're right, that general uh, false impression is there.
Oh, it truly is. And the easy part, I mean, I laugh about how much of a grind it is. And if you don't have the thick skin to, you know, it's not just about people yelling at you or people being upset. It's about having to face decisions that can be worth millions and millions of dollars every single day. Or there's really never a foot off the gas, especially when you have investors. Because I mean, your job is to get up and do what they want to do, or what they're paying you to do every day better than they could do it. So it's a very, very active business for all of us.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, the yeah, we're starting to see interesting cracks in different markets as well. I mean, it's build to rent's coming back a little bit. We're starting to see a longer term horizon investors building multifamily in the planning side of Austin and in Dallas, Salt Lake. So yeah, I think to your point, 25 and 26 is especially for opportunity zone investors or people that have a longer horizon, versus pure IRR driven investors, has a lot of potential, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Any forecasts on what the Fed might do, or are we still going to have a Fed in 25 and 26?
Yeah, I think we'll still have a Fed, but we might still have a different. We might have a different Fed head. Um, if you listen to all the commentary, um, yeah, I think we're going back into um, you know a lightly inflationary environment again. I think all the stimulus that the Trump administration is going to put back into the system is going to be slightly inflationary. And also, we have a healthy economy to begin with right now. Unemployment's pretty low, and um, you know, most of the businesses that sort of felt the strain of the higher interest rates have worked through that right now, and we've got a little bit of sort of you know kicking the can down the road too by some of the banks. What I mean by that is there's sort of some extending credit, and that's given a lot of flexibility to firms that were under stress due to the higher interest rates. So, combination of a really healthy economy, a very accommodative banking sector, a president that is, talking about a lot of stimulating programs, including tax reductions and, continuing to also boost spending. That's going to put upward pressure on interest rates, and I don't think the Fed's going to be in a place where they can cut aggressively. Maybe not at all. Maybe we get one more 25 basis point cut in the next 90 days, and I think then that's it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. You're more in tune on the interest rate part than I am. We've seen construction material costs bottom out, but we're actually starting to advise a lot of our clients to forward purchase. This is, we think 25 and 26 you'll get back to a 2 to 3% cost inflation for materials. I think you'll see for a little bit a overall status quo for labor hour cost. We have seen profit margins pull back and backlog pull back, but I think 25 you'll see that start to get pushed out as construction restarts again. So we're forecasting a 2 to 3% inflationary cost on construction in 25 and 26.
Yeah, that's definitely something you know better than we do, and actually we rely on you and your firm for that kind of insight and intelligence. But that sounds right to us too.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Anything else I just wanted to get you out there to share, and always good to catch up. And should people call you or Sandy if they're interested in investing with StarPoint?
They can just jump on. They can just jump on the website and log in and join our investor portal. And that our investor portal will keep them updated on new offerings, and also, you'll get our newsletter and any information that we send out. And then once you sign up, you'll also somebody from our investment management team will reach out to you.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you for all your time today, and looking forward to a new project in Tucson.
Thanks, Colby. Appreciate you having me on. You have a great week.
You too. Take care.
All right, take care.